If you're a student of grade 10, then watch this video because we have Dr. Jayanti Dutta, founder of Drona Learning Academy, joining us on Edutalks today. Dr. Jayanti owns PhD in mathematics and carries 26 years of experience in teaching. She has many research publications in international journals and has written teachers' resources material for renowned publishers. She has written books and study materials in mathematics for NCERT and IGNOU, and she also has worked as a head of the department for mathematics in various schools across India. It's our pleasure to have her on our show today. And in today's conversation, she will be guiding students on writing math exams in class 10. So let's get started. Hello, Dr. Jayanti. Welcome to EduTalks.
Thank you. Thank you, Devanshi, for inviting me.
I know you have been really busy these days with your classes and all, and I'm really grateful that you found time and you joined her here today.
Yeah, because this is the time in which, the students actually start studying. So they
Right.
have a lot of doubts, and so we have to cater to them. So for us, this time is the most busy time before the exam begins.
So, Shanti, I do understand that students would have so many anxiety and all in their mind. But as a teacher, what is going on in your mind when your students are appearing for their board exams? So, like, what do you feel as a teacher?
It's like a mother who is sending the child for to the school for the first time, because all the children of 10th grade, they are going to appear for the boards for the first time. When they are in grade 12, they've already had this experience. So for them, writing a board is not writing an exam. It's something very new for them. So they have lot of questions, and lot of things in mind, because they're going to a new center. They have got a new set of answer paper which they have not attempted before. So they have lot of questions, and then they look up to us because we have been training students for so long. So when they are prepared, we feel good, and the day they write the exam and come out with happy faces, we feel very pleased that yes, this
That's
year is also gone, so next year we need to work with more students.
so, Jayanti, like, it's been 26 years you have been into this field. It's a really long time. But as you said, that for students, it would be for the very first time. So, what kind of learning environment do you create for them so, they can study well or they can give their best?
See, over the years it has changed, because initially, it's basically, I can give this to CBSE. The way of asking questions have changed over the years. Earlier, it was very direct and it was very easy to train students. But over the time, and especially with, the education policy, which was in 2005, and the education policy, which has just started 2020, the way the questions are asked are different. So the child has to be fresh, should be able to, interpret the questions well. He cannot be stressed, and he has to write the exam in those 3 hours. Like, we cannot prepare the child that, okay, these are the questions that you do, and from this it is going to come. So when I started my career, initially it was like that. So for us, it was very easy that we give a set of questions to students and say, prepare well, give them a lot of worksheets, make them practice a lot. And they used to do well. But slowly and slowly, when the policy started changing, it has come to more on understanding and interpreting of the questions. So for us, it is a challenge to ensure that the child understands what he's learning. He's able to interpret the question, because the syllabus is the same, curriculum is the same, what we are teaching is also the same, but the way the questions are asked has been changing every year. So we need to train the students accordingly. So that is what we keep on telling the students. They need to be stress free, they need to manage the time. And especially for maths, I'm a maths teacher, and especially for maths, they need to be fresh. They cannot be stressed up, they cannot have a late night the night before the exam, because whatever they have learned during the exam, during the year exam, they have to do it all over again. So they cannot rely on their memory. So if they are
Definitely.
not fresh, if they are stressed up, they'll not be able to do it. Even 3 plus 3 will become 9 if they're stressed up.
It happens, yes. So,
Yeah.
Jayanti, maths has always been a much talked about subject. I have always seen two kind of people. Either they would be so good with maths, just like you, or there would be people who will be pathetic with maths, just like me. So, what makes math interesting or challenging for the students?
See, it's the basically, it starts from the very beginning, the method of learning the subject. It is different. Okay, so the way we learn languages, the way we learn science, social studies, and the way we should learn mathematics is different. The child who is able to distinguish between this will start loving maths. The child who will not be able to, understand what is the difference between these subjects will start, they'll have problems with numbers. So basically, it starts from a very early age, maybe from third to fourth standard, because from what happens till second, third, basic operations are taught. So, and then you become a master in basic operations. And then something little new concepts they start coming in, and the child actually doesn't understand or he doesn't know how to go about these concepts. And then before the exam, because he wants to score, and the way that he's been doing with the other subjects, learning, like rote learning, like this is a definition I need to learn, these are the dates I need to learn. He starts doing the same with maths. And then the problem starts. And slowly, slowly, as they go from one class to the other, it multiplies. And the child who understands that, yes, here I need to understand and apply what I have learned, then it becomes easy for those children.
So, basic
So,
needs to be cleared. So, then it will find it
basic needs to
easier.
be clear, and also to ensure that what I am learning, there are no definition in math that you need to learn. And in a maths exam, nobody is going to ask you, define this, define that. So there's nothing that we have to learn. But yes, there are things that we do. We learn how to add, subtract, we learn how to do sums. So that's a method. And I cannot rote learn a method. I need to understand the method, how it is being done, why is it being done. And the moment I understand that, I'll be able to apply it. And the moment the application comes, then there's no rote learning. So what happens to students who don't understand this difference? What they do is they start rote learning. So, the initial classes are good. Your sixth, seventh manage. But when you come to eighth, ninth, and all, then it becomes difficult for them.
Correct. So, Jayanti, like the students, if we talk in context to grade 10 board exams, and you have students who will be appearing for these exams, what kind of difficulties do they face if they are not so good with maths?
See, the major difficulty as a teacher that we face, then I'll talk about the student difficulty, because the CBSE comes up with the question paper, which is different every year. And about 30% of the question paper is based on, the child has, if the child doesn't know the concept, doesn't know how to interpret and understand, he'll not be able to understand and he'll not be able to answer. So in that case, it becomes difficult for us. The children who are little weak in maths, like they don't understand what exactly we are doing with numbers, for them, for us to make them understand what exactly is being done is a concern. And for them, then we have, later on we see, okay, to a level they are able to do it. After that level, we try to give them lot of questions that, try, understand. And CBSE pattern, there's no definite pattern in which the questions are asked. The same concept is asked in about 20 different manner, but the answer is the same. The
Okay.
child, so to make the child understand and interpret the question and to be able to write the correct answer is a challenge for all of us. But slowly and steadily, when they start doing a lot of questions and they are able to answer them on their own and they start getting them correct, they build that confidence.
So, definitely it says, maths is all about practice. More and more you practice as you'll gain that
Yes,
confidence.
confidence. Yes. No,
Jayanti, Dr.
it's because, no, sorry to interrupt you. Maths is because of practice, because there's nothing that we can learn in
Right.
maths. Okay. So
Okay.
if you practice something, we remember the method. There's no way in which I can learn a method. like step one, do this, step two, do this. We never do that. So what we do is we do the same thing again and again. It comes in our mind that yes, this is what the procedure is. And that is why maths needs practice.
Right. So, Dr.
Yeah.
Jayanti, I still have more questions related to 10th board exams and all. But before that, I would love to know about your journey, like how you started Drona, because I know that, during COVID only people came to know about online classes and all, but you started it way before when people had no idea about online classes. Could you please tell us about your platform?
Yes. See, we started this in 2018. 2017, we were actually thinking how to go about it. The reason this thought came to our mind when my daughter was in grade 12, she was a student of accounts, commerce. And I don't have a commerce background, neither my husband has a commerce background. So she had lot of problems in accountancy. And she didn't want to go for tuitions because she said, I want to study on my own. I want somebody to help me when I get stuck. School teachers were there, but in the evening when she's sitting, she has no access to the school teachers. We went to lot of places, lot of people, but then that correct help was not coming. We actually, our family friends who are into practicing chartered accountants, but they can't come down to the level of 11th and 12th, the way, the questions are asked, the way you are supposed to do, because practical and what we exactly do while teaching is very different. So then we thought that if there is a platform in which there are people sitting at home, and if I have some doubt, can just help me out so that I can, continue with my self study, just facilitating me where I'm getting stuck. So that idea came to our mind. And then we thought, I left my job and I thought that I can start up with this platform. So first challenge that we faced was how to go about it. And then we found one licensed partner in which we had a very nice interactive teaching platform. With that, we started with small, initially about 2, 3 students, and we really found that there were a lot of good points that was coming across, especially when a child is studying online and he's seeing all the things happening in a screen in front of him. So it was very good, and they really improved. So we got a child who was, about 33, 34% in grade 9, and just with 4, 5 months of our teaching, because we started experimenting in 2007, before we started our platform. So we started with that child who was in grade 10 at that time. And just from, I think we started from August until March, because we were also experimenting and the child was also studying with us. From that 33%, the child scored 94% in grade 10 maths
Wow.
and 91% in science. And the parents were, like they said, we had never thought that the child would do that well. Then we got to know about a lot of things that helps the child in this process. And then when the COVID started, actually what happened, the online classes came up, but then there are a lot of students in the class. We cannot see the child and just one-way interaction. Whereas in our platform, it is a two-way interaction. The child talks to us and we also show them the way they are, something that they're doing wrong. Like we have students who make 2 + 2 become 6. So when we show them that, your addition is wrong, which you are doing since your second grade addition, it cannot be more perfect because your practice is for 8 years. They realize it. And then, such sort of errors that they make, they, so it helps in online teaching. So that's how Drona came up. So initially we started with maths and science. Now we have languages, and we are basically more on doubt clarification. But now we are running full courses for 9th and 10th grade for maths and science, an annual program for the entire year. And every year we are growing.
So it has been wonderful to know about your journey, and it's so inspiring to know that how the idea came up with your daughter's challenges, and thanks to this idea, now so many children are there who are getting benefited through your knowledge.
Mm.
So, Dr. Jayanti, my next question is again related to 10th board exams. So, if we talk about the question paper while answering it, what are the common mistakes that students make while writing the paper?
Yeah, that basically what happens when a child writes, if he misses out, he uses shortcuts, he doesn't write all the value points, then he loses marks. And the way I train my students, I tell them if it is a 2 marker, there will be at 4 value points or 2 value points in the answer. So ensure that you have written those points. It's a 1 marker MCQ, only the answer. You get a right answer, you'll get a point. But when it comes to a 2 marker, 3 marker, or a 5 marker, you have to ensure that you've written all the value points. And because the children have been practicing the entire year, so they use a lot of shortcuts. They know iske baad ye karna hai, iske baad ye karna hai. For example, the diameter is given, the radius is half of diameter. So they do the mental calculation and write what is the radius. So sometimes they don't write the radius also, and they'll just directly put it in the formula. Now, CBSE marking scheme, there is a mark for writing the radius, which is half of diameter. So we keep on telling the students that you need to do the things properly, like write all the value points. That is one sort of mistake. Second, errors that we usually the students do is while doing the calculations. Because of stress, because of the time constraint, they tend to make lot of calculation errors. So that's very common in maths, which is not there in the other subjects because there are no calculations. So basically, what they have learned, they have to reproduce, they write, and you will see the more sense in social studies and science and languages rather than maths, because this is where the child's calculation, which he has to do there, because it deals with numbers. Though he has done multiplication and addition since last 10 years, still they make errors. So writing, getting the correct answer is a concern. And if they are stress free, they'll all get the answers right. If there's a little stress in their mind, everything goes haywire. So this is what is very important.
That's really helpful. That will be really helpful for them to learn.
Mm.
Dr. Jayanti, now just few days are left till the board exam starts. So what should be the strategy now when they are doing revision? How should they start, or what things they should keep in their mind?
See, first of all, now they should, instead of, revise, they need to revise and recall what they know about every chapter. Suppose it's one chapter, they should know what are the things that I have learned in that chapter, what are the concepts that I know. Keeping that in mind, they can also recall what are the different types of questions that can be asked from those concepts. If he can recall, write the formula correctly, he'll not forget that in the exam also. So that is one thing they need to do because the entire since April they've been doing all the concepts again and again. So studying again is never going to help them because they've studied enough. Now they need to recall what they have studied. In case they've forgotten certain concept, they need to redo that. But if they remember all the concepts, then they should be fine about it. Secondly, is the time management during the exam. So they should know how much time to spend in what type of questions. Because if you look at the question paper, it has got 38 questions in 3 hours, 180 minutes. So it looks huge that how can a child do 38 questions in 180 minutes? But then the value of the questions also matter. So if you can divide the question paper into 3 halves of 50 minutes each, like you cover section A, which is MCQ in 50 minutes, 20 questions. You have enough time to do 20 questions in 50 minutes. Section B and C together will have 11 questions, which are of 2 and 3 marks. So even if you spend 4 marks for 11 questions, it's 44 minutes. So you take 50 minutes and be happy. Then comes section D and section E. Section D has got 4 questions and section E's case study, which is 3 questions, 7 questions, 5 and 4 marks respectively. You keep 7 minutes. You take your time, write the answers well, because as I said, 5 marker must have 5 value points to give you at least 5, maximum 10 to give you 5 marks. So keep, 7 minutes per question, 50 minutes. Then also you've exhausted 150 minutes. You still have 30 minutes. So there is nothing to worry about the time constraint. You can manage well, and the more relaxed you are and if you can manage your time, you'll never be stressed during the exam. Even if you're not getting any question, you can leave that space. At the end, you have still got 30 minutes. You can go back to that question and do it instead of panicking and spending more time in it and having no time for the other questions. So you need to be very relaxed when you're writing your exam. So if you can manage the time limit well, because last 30 minutes you need to revise and check whether you've written everything, you have not missed out on any questions. So if you plan yourself towards the end, do 2 or 3 mock test papers in this manner, I think the exam should go well. There are no chances that you are going to spoil your maths paper. And you need to be confident that how much I know has to be correct. If I write for, say, 70 marks out of 80, I must get 70 out of 80. It should not be that I write for 80 and land up with 40.
Okay.
So that should be the, the concern in the mind, I should be. And I need to have a good night's sleep. Maybe I don't study the day before the exam, only recall and remember, because I've studied the whole year. I cannot make a difference in one day. And no one can make a difference in one day. So if I've studied the whole year, I can relax on the last day, go have a good night's sleep, go. It's like a performing art. You do your best and you come out with flying colors.
Yeah, that was my another question, like how the schedule should be just a day before the exams,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
cannot cover everything in one day. So how they can revise their stuff so they'll be confident or they'll be prepared.
Yeah, that's what I said. They need not revise everything. What they need to do is, before the exam, they need to go through the NCERT textbook thoroughly. Not leave, like, see, recall the concepts that are there, what are the types of questions that can be asked, and then be very relaxed. And in case they have forgotten, those are the things that they need to study and revise on the last.
Is there any particular pattern to follow when they are writing the paper, like starting from some questions, or they can start from anywhere? Any
No,
suggestions on writing
it
the
it
paper?
it depends on the child. So because see, the MCQs are always tricky. There are 20 questions. So when you are fresh, you can tackle the MCQs. Some of the children, they want to start from the end. That yes, if I do 7 questions, I'll score, the section E and section B, which is 20 and 12. So straight away I get 32 marks. But then whichever way you start, you have to maintain the time. If you start from the end, you should not exceed those 50 minutes. If you start from the beginning, you should not exceed. Sometimes what happens with the children, they start from the end, and if they have, the time is less, and they say, "Oh, 16 questions are left, and only half an hour is left." But for those 16 questions, only 16 marks. But if you start the other way and you say my 5 questions are left and those 5 questions are 5 marks each, then your 25 marks are left. Okay, so
Yes.
what is better, 16 questions or those 5 questions? So even if I miss out on those questions, but so it's very important that if the child gets those 5 markers, 4 markers correct, and be happy with, yes, I have done a chunk of questions which are correct. Now I can sit with them. Whichever way they start, it all depends on the child. Even if they're starting with the MCQs, they should not exceed those 50 minutes that I'm talking about. After that, they go to the next. And in the exam, they can leave a space for the questions which are not attempted so that they can come back to it instead of writing a very haphazard answer.
So, Dr. Jayanti, when your student is giving the exam and when he's writing his exams, do you still get those butterflies or something, or how you would be
Yes.
doing, or you would be knowing it, okay, this is going to happen?
No, till the time you see the question paper, you have butterflies in your stomach. Like because CBSE doesn't allow anyone to see the question paper till it's 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So we have no idea, no clue about what's happening. So after 45 minutes, when we see the question paper, that is the time we feel relaxed that yes,
Okay.
it's okay. And then we said, okay, ho gaya hamara kaam. Now it's the children, they'll do it. So
So, if
yes, we do feel tense till the time we see the question paper.
okay, so Dr. Jayanti, if we talk about the question papers, CBSE question papers, in all these years, what is your observation? Like, is it or it always becomes difficult for them, or it will be balanced, or how the paper would come for the students?
No, the paper is always balanced. It's depends on the preparation of the student.
Okay.
Okay, so when we say the paper is tough, it's the CBSE
Student
has the role to play to
to
make it
play in that.
difficult. Yeah, it depends on the preparation of the students. Because every year, if you sit down and look at the papers, the level of difficulty is the same. There's no change in that. And it's a very balanced paper. You always have 3 to 4% of very difficult questions. Then you have difficult questions, easy questions. There are easy and medium level questions that will ensure that every child passes. And there are difficult questions to ensure that not everybody gets a center. Only the intelligent one and the good one will get a center. But everyone will get a good score. So that is how a question paper is set.
Right. So, Dr. Janti, you have shared so many information and techniques and tips with us here, and I'm sure that students who will watch this will find it really, really useful. Before we end this conversation, I would like to have you to give a message to the students. As a teacher, what message would you like to give to the students who are appearing for their board exams now?
First of all, I would like to wish them luck. Be patient, be stress free. And maths is a subject in which you can actually go stress free in the exam because you don't have to carry a baggage with you. There is no rote learning involved. If you know the procedure, the method, and you remember the concept, you have to be fresh to apply. So be confident of what you have done throughout the year and write your exam well. The moment you are stressed, you're bound to make mistakes. Avoid that, manage your time, and good luck to all of you. I'm sure all of you will do well. And another thing I want to tell, which I tell to all my students, many, like crores of people have appeared for both exam. Many will appear in future. So you're not doing a very big deal. It's something very routine. It's just because you may be the first or the second child for your parents, and it's difficult for them also. So you find that this is something which is difficult, and you're going, to do something very great, but it's something very normal in everybody's life. It comes to everyone, and everyone faces that, so even you can do that. So
That
the
was
first
really
thing, that's what I tell, and to the students, that yes, your parents will be, more looking forward to what you do, and everyone must be telling you that it's 10th. Even school, you are in 10th. Even the neighbors will say you are in 10th. So it's basically something great. It'll just pass off with time. So there's nothing to be stressed about.
that was a
So,
wonderful message you have shared, Dr. Jayanti. Like, we need to normalize this thing,
yes,
society, and we have created a big hype that board exams 10th, and that
yes.
creates unnecessary pressure for the children.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you were
So
saying
because
something.
I remember when I was in grade, my papa was a doctor. So he never knew that what where the children are studying, busy with his work, and my mother used to look after. When I reached grade 10, and that too when I was going to write my board exam, then he said, "Okay, when are our exams?" So the first day when I was going to write my English exam, my first exam was English. He came from the hospital to wish me luck. And when I was going to the exam center, I was just wondering, what am I going to do? Like, why has he come? Like, what's so special? So when I went, and it was a new school and everything was new, so I was also tensed up what exactly I'm doing, what I've come for. So when I came back in the evening, I asked him, "Why did you come?" He said, "Because you're writing a board exam." I said, "Acha." And then it stuck me. I was more stressed because of that
Okay.
fact. Because otherwise it was a normal exam, everything I'm going, coming. So because he came for a special effort, he made a special effort to come and wish me luck. I thought I'm doing something very great, though it is okay, it's great, it's a board exam. But for a child at that age, it becomes something, so you get stressed. So I always tell the parents, it's cool. They go to go to school to write exam. Make it like that only. Don't give them stress. It's nothing very, it is important, but don't let them realize that it is important. So, because
That
they are
was
small.
mind blowing. Yes, yes. See, when they'll be pressurized, they'll feel that
Yes.
stress, and then they won't be able to
Perform, they'll have this, that I have to perform, I'm doing something
perform.
very great. Yeah. So it's like it's stage performance, all these exams, especially the board exam. You keep on practicing the whole year. Every exam you're doing well. Board exam, you become stressed, you don't do well, you're gone.
Yes.
Nobody is going to listen to it. The same way you have a performance, maybe a recital. Every recital is coming good. The main day you do something wrong, there are no retakes for it. So it's like that. So the child has to be prepared to face that. That's all, nothing else.
Yes.
And
So
we need to make the child this very normal.
I must say that Dr. Jayanti, your students are lucky to have you as a teacher because the way you shared your thoughts and everything, it's really wonderful. And I'm glad that I could associate with you and we had a wonderful conversation here today. And again, I would love to connect with you once the math exam is over and where we can review the paper and we can know your thoughts on that. But
Sure.
thank you so much for finding time for us here and joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Devyanshi.